All right, y'all. All right. Look, check this out. Henry, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, look. I got my main man in the building with me. I'm sorry for the lack of the proper introduction. This is Mr. Dews. This is the Dews Perspective, right? I got a young brother. Well, he ain't that much younger than me, but I got a brother. That's I got a brother that's sitting down with me, right? I met him about 2 months ago. I had the privilege of working with this young man. He and I both were cast in a show by the Shortcuts Shows production. It's a storytelling production led by a gentleman named Dr. Lamar Darnell Shields. It's been in existence for 10 years. Well, there was a call put out. You all know, or you may not know, that we celebrated the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March.
Yes,
It's actually on October the 16th. Henry and I had the privilege of participating in this Shortcuts production, which was on Friday, October 17th, 2025, at my alma mater, and yours as well, right, Henry?
Yes, sir.
Coppin State University. It was Coppin State College when I was a student there, in the James Weldon Johnson Auditorium. He and I were two of 6 individuals who were chosen to participate in a wonderful event to share our experience as young men and one young lady, powerful sister, Sister Salima, share our story from 30 years ago, right, of attending the Million Man March. I met this brother when we first started gathering to do our rehearsals. It was his intellectual conversation. It was the words he spoke. It was the way he spoke that made all of us in attendance and in his presence and company draw near and listen. It was his experiences that he shared, right? It was a lot more than just the storytelling of the Million Man March. We had to dig deep. So what we walked away with, Henry, is this was the therapy that we all needed, right? And he and I just laughed and said, I shared with him, it's the therapy that I knew I needed, but I wouldn't have sought on my own.
Not at all.
The gentleman that I'm sitting with, that's sitting with me, gave me the privilege of just joining me to engage in the conversation, is a gentleman named Henry Brim. I took a immediate liking to this brother. He has a wonderful story, a story that is relatable to so many, myself included. He's a father, he's a husband, he's a provider, he's a protector. He's a brilliant young man. He graduated from City.
Yes, sir. City forever, baby.
And today is the Poly City homecoming,
right.
beat
The
down.
City beat down.
Yeah,
Poly.
tailgate. And when we hooked up, I said, Henry, you not going to the tailgate? He said, man, I gave you my word. I told you that I would hang out with you before I made a commitment to go there. So I'm grateful to have this gentleman, Henry Brim, sit with me. And we're going to talk about our experience of participating in the love letter to the Million Man March 30 years later. And we're going to talk about our brotherhood that we established a couple of months ago, but by the grace of God and all prayers to God, that's going to continue for the remainder of our life. Hey, Henry Brim, my man, welcome to the Dews Perspective Podcast.
Man, listen.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I feel humble. You know, all praises to God. You know. Sir. See, let me tell y'all something. This brother got 3 cameras in here. He said, I want to make sure that your blind tail can look at one of these cameras. You can't miss one of these cameras, right? He said, I want to make sure I'm going to catch you some kind of way. Had me looking at the wall. Look this way.
No, we ain't going to play those type of games.
Looking at the mirror and be like, yeah, you looking at the camera, brother. You looking at the camera. No, here this way. You got me looking out.
I wouldn't play with you like that, Henry.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes,
Dews.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, my bad.
I want y'all to know the setup is real. Yo, the setup is real.
Yeah.
Nah, my brother, man.
Yes,
All praises to God, man. I appreciate this opportunity to,
Yes,
to kick it with you like we do, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's been about 8-9 beautiful weeks, and you was just as inspirational to me as well, man. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So look, Henry, we like I said, Dr. Shields, a mutual friend, right? Colleague.
Well, he was a former teacher of mine.
He was a former teacher of yours. I remember you shared that at the Baltimore City College, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I say that correct. I graduated from the Academy of Finance at Lake Clifton.
Okay, right down the street on that 22 bus line.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, I want you to tell me, how did you? I know Dr. Shields is your teacher, and I'm gonna tell you this. I told Dr. Shields this because I observed this. I don't even know if I shared this with you, or even if you acknowledged this. Even as a grown man, 46 years old, correct?
That's correct.
And you met Dr. Shields when you were 16.
16, yes.
30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Even when you engage Dr. Shields right now, I know you have the utmost respect for him, and he has the utmost respect for you as a man, right? But I can still see that 16-year-old student-teacher relationship as well. Mm. You know what I mean? Henry, and it's a certain level of respect there for that. And I'm going to say, I'll share why I'm saying that. As a teacher, right, I've been blessed to still have relationships with young men and young women who I had the privilege and opportunity to teach as children, right? A lot younger than you were when you met Dr. Shields. I'm talking about first grade, second grade. And when they speak of me to this day, even though they grown, when they speak of me to this day, they always refer to me as my teacher. That's how they even introduce me. Yeah. My teacher. And it makes me feel, you know what I mean? Because as educators, you want to be able to make that type of impact on young people's lives. And I observed that. Am I off with that observation?
No, you're not. To put it into perspective, a year after I met Mr. Shields, it's hard for me to call him Dr. Shields.
I understand.
I'm so used to calling him
yes, sir.
Mr. Shields. But when I met Brother Shields, less than a year after that, my father passed away. Mm-hmm. And I was so tore up and so beat down, and they could not. When I say they, my mom and them, they couldn't keep the tears away. Man, I just couldn't stop crying. And he stepped out of the teacher's role and became like a big brother. Yes, he came to my house, and I'm in the bedroom, man. I'm sitting there on the side of the bed, man. I'm crying uncontrollably, and they said, you know what? I'm going to call Mr. Shields. And they called my teacher, man, and he came to the house immediately. And he just sat there, he's like, Slim Brim, you so used to making everybody else laugh. He said, you sitting there, you upset. He said, so I'm here to help you smile again.
Yes, sir.
And he was a young teacher, man, but he connected with me on such a level where I had nothing but respect for that brother from 95 and beyond.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. So we're talking about the privilege that you and I both had to share with some other wonderful individuals, right? As participants in the Shortcuts show storytelling production, right? And the particular show that we were a part of was a love letter to the Million Man March 30 years later, right? What made you, Henry, want to be a participant in this particular show?
I truly believe that we all have a story to share.
Yes, sir.
And it actually hurt my heart that I have 4 children. My oldest child is 26. And I've never told them about the Million Man March, right?
Yes, sir.
So when Brother Shields contacted me and asked me would I mind sharing, I said, in 30 years, I haven't even thought about the
Mm.
Million Man March, right?
Yeah.
You know, because after the march, and you go off, and I became a dad, I became a husband 2 times over. You know, and life started lifing.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I was thinking about was that day at being 16 years old, standing in the mall at DC. You know, however, I made that commitment to tell the story because it was more healing that took place than I even recognized.
Yes, sir.
And there's a healing that we as men, especially people of color, and women, that we've been through a lot as a people. We've been through a lot. And the Million Man March was an opportunity for us all to gather together in D.C. to show the world that we can stand together. And as a blind brother, I always saw that our people need to be reminded constantly, despite all the negativity that we are exposed to, that we still have that same vision. We still have that same energy.
Yes, sir.
And who better to tell that story than those of us that were there?
Yes, sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
There are so many history books that we can pick up and read about the 60s or the 30s or the 1800s. But this is something that we experienced. And so why not share it while we still are able to share it, instead of somebody else changing the narrative and telling their version of what happened, or erase what happened in 95, 20 years from now.
That's right.
You know.
It's imperative that we control our own narrative.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, let me ask you this. You said something that's heavy to me, Henry. You said you realized you hadn't even shared that story in 30 years, right? What prevented you think, from sharing the story in the last 30 years?
Well, for me, like I shared during the rehearsal, that the Million Man March was so close to the passing of my father, and that changed the trajectory of my life forever. You know, when my father was my superhero.
Sure.
You know, he was my Clint Cock, you know, he was my Superman, you know. So when he passed away, the last thing I wanted to remember, or the last thing I even thought about remembering, was events that led up prior to that. And I think because he wasn't there with me either at the Million Man March, you know. So it never was on the forefront of my mind. Now, I did take my first wife and my oldest 2 children to the Million Family March in 2000. So we did think about it, you know, in that regards. But in terms of the Million Man March itself, for me at 16, I don't think it impacted me consciously at that age. So it wasn't nothing for me to think about.
At 16, yes, sir. I understand. For you, it was a day out of school.
Absolutely, man.
And Mr. Shields, and what else? What else? The biscuits.
Man, them biscuits? Brother,
the buttery biscuits.
Now listen. Maybe if I had not one of them biscuits, I'd probably remember the Million Man March sooner, you know?
Hey, the way you talk about the biscuits, that his mom made me want to eat. The whole time during rehearsal, I said, "Damn, I wish I'd had one of those."
I'm not understanding why they're not on the shelves. Man. You know, I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused, brother. I
do understand. Tell me this, Henry. Tell me this. I think we started rehearsing back in August.
It was September the 2nd.
Ooh, I knew your memory was better than mine. Yeah, all right, September the 2nd, right? We had a couple of virtual meetings, correct? Yes. And then we was meeting up at the library downtown, the University of Baltimore campus.
Now hold on. Let me talk about that. Those virtual meetings. You know, see, unlike the cameras we got all set up here, see, they ain't had me looking in the cameras at them doing those virtual meetings or whatever, and they sitting there recording all of them, got me looking all cockeyed and everything, you know. But here, my brother Dews, though.
No, I got the camera.
He said, "We ain't making that mistake."
I got at least one of them position right. At least one of them. You might be looking cockeyed on one of them. Oh, that's what you him. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Got the left eye on one camera. Got the right eye on another camera.
But on one of the cameras, you might be right. I'm hoping you are. We're going to find out.
See, you see how they set me up, man. Y'all just set me up. But nah, man.
No.
But yes, we had the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And then we had the rehearsals down at UB, which is my I got my master's and my bachelor's from there too.
Okay, there you go. You showed off. So what'd you get from Coppin?
There was a collab. The master's program was a collab between UB and Coppin.
Yeah, he's showing off.
Bastards, man. Gotta give.
Look at him flexing on this.
Yeah,
look at him.
you know.
Yeah, Head Rock. You know he go by Head Rock in the streets. Head Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, look. All right, so Henry, tell me this though, man, for you and I.
We forgot about the we wrapped up our rehearsals over at the collegiate.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. No, we didn't forget about that.
Oh, okay.
The Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys.
I apologize.
With our brother CEO,
Mr.
Mr. CEO.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Dr. Edwin Avent is the leader of that school and their mission, which is a wonderful thing. Tell me what was your first thoughts about our first meetings in person, right? And we were led by a wonderful director, right? A wonderful director.
Yes.
Tell me what were your first thoughts when we all got together and we were sitting in circles and it was like circle time.
Thought it was gonna be a kumbaya type thing. We didn't see it in a kumbaya circle or whatever. But no, man. This brother coming with his thick accent.
Yeah.
Just give me one word.
Yeah. Just give me one word. Yeah.
Give me one word.
Yeah,
what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
So what I thought was during that first meeting was this is gonna be different.
Yeah.
This is gonna be you can feel the honestly. You can feel the energy from the moment when we all sat down.
Yes, sir.
And you can just feel the presence of God. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm a child of God. I'm a man of God.
Yes, sir.
And there's not too many times I'm not going to bring God up. But you can feel the energy of God that day.
Yes, sir.
But I didn't know. I did not know what the next few weeks had in store that day. And I'm telling you, it was nervous. It was man, the anxiety was real because you didn't know what to expect. You know, you didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I've never been a part of a production in that capacity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, one of the things when Mark was like, trust the process, right?
Yeah.
And I'll share this. I think. You may even recall me saying this in class, Henry. It was when we had to do the exercise like the old telephone game.
Oh,
right.
Oh man,
right. So we had to do an exercise. So
tell them the truth, bro.
I'm gonna tell you. So look, check this out, y'all. Right. So look, this how my mind worked, right? So I'm standing next to the director. So I'm standing to his right. It's about 6 of us, about 5 of us, no, 6 total in the circle. So we playing the old telephone game. So the brother leaned over to me and he whispered something in my ear, bop, 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 right? Mm-hmm. As soon as he was done, I hollered out, "Can you repeat that?" Right?
And he was like, "The rule was you can't repeat. You can't repeat
nothing. Know you can't repeat nothing in the telephone game." I said, "Can you repeat that?" Right? So he said, "Nah." So I already knew I had to make a quick decision. Now I'm gonna tell y'all this how my mind worked. I could either add something or just say what I thought I heard him say, or my mind worked, man. I'll change the whole thing. I'll just make something up, Henry, and say something completely different, right? So it was a split second decision, right? That quick. As soon as he said, "No, I can't tell you," so my mind went to, "Man, just say what you heard," and then it was, "No, make something else up completely," right? So I said what I heard instead. Mm-hmm. We went around. They whispered it each ear. They whispered it. We got around. The CEO, Mr. CEO, Mr. Avent was the last one. He said something completely different, right? he said something completely different. It got back to Brother Mark. Brother Mark was like, he wrote down on the whiteboard what he said.
Originally, yeah.
Then we shared, originally, thank you, Henry. Then we shared out. Henry said, Henry, I remember you saying this. Henry said, I knew we was thrown off as soon as I heard Cornell say it.
Repeat what you said. I said, here we go.
Here we go. And then that's what I said. You thought we was thrown off with that. Hey, Henry, for a split second, I was about to say something completely off. I did say if it was, and I'm sorry if I'm real loud right now, right? I'm just excited to talk to my brother. So I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm screaming. But I enjoy talking to this man here. But with that being said, it was about 8 lines, and it was an exercise to help us remember our lines, right? And to have reference points, be it the beginning of the first letter of each word. It was a reference point for us to help remember our lines. But in our case, we was telling real stories, so it wasn't about remembering as much as it was about recalling.
Well, it was also talking about the importance as a messenger to make sure that the message is being delivered correctly.
Correctly, yes, sir.
Because
yes,
we can all talk.
Yes, sir.
But just like when you're in a relationship, for instance.
Okay, let's go, Henry.
Yeah, just like when you're in a
He
relationship.
done threw that.
Yeah, of course, man.
Daddy done threw relationship talk. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
After being married so long,
Yeah, go
everything revolves back to a relationship.
Let's
Kind
go.
of way, right?
Tell me about it.
So, being a husband, right? You may say one thing, but your wife may hear something,
Something
totally
completely different. Yes, sir.
Now, I heard me say...
And vice versa.
Absolutely. I know what I thought. I know what I said. I heard me say what I said to you, but you may not hear what I said. You heard the words, but you may have received it totally different.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So our job as a messenger is to make sure that mail gets delivered.
Yes, sir.
So it can't be on the sidewalk. It has to go inside that mailbox.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if it lands on the sidewalk, or lands on the step, when the wind blows,
when the wind blows, go ahead, go ahead.
Not to get too deep into philosophy.
Go ahead, get deep. That's what I love about you. That's what drew me in. Go ahead, get deep.
But the key of any story sharing or any storytelling is, as an author, is to make sure that the person that is receiving it in the way that you meant for it to be delivered.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
if
sir.
we don't do that, then we
sir.
miss the ball as the storyteller or as the messenger.
Yeah.
And that was the point of the whole exercise with the telephone call, is that it can always start one way, but it may not always end how you thought it was going to be perceived.
And another, you're absolutely correct. And another important part about that storytelling piece is ownership.
Absolutely.
So whether
we all had to own it.
You gotta own it, regardless of, right? I gotta say it as if this is what I heard. You know what I mean? And that's part of storytelling too.
And I'm telling you gain, not only was it a funny moment though, but you gained our level of respect because we didn't know what you was thinking in terms of alternating.
It was about to go crazy.
But when he came out with it, we was all like, what the?
And I'm gonna tell you, the other thing for me, Henry, and I said this, and we started this piece off talking about trust the process. I shared with Mark and I shared with the group there. I said, the way my mind is set up, I'm the type of person that I ask questions. So I'm extremely inquisitive, right?
Yeah, I am.
So when a person say, here, Cornell, do this, my first question is, why? And we talked about that day. Remember, Henry?
Correct.
I was like, I normally ask why. Like, why am I doing it? Not in a disrespectful manner, right? And I didn't, because we talked about as children. You said as a child, you would at times ask why. I said that I might have thought why, but I ain't asked why as a kid. You know what I mean, Henry? I just go about, hey, look, man, go.
Make sense to me.
I ain't questioning. And coming up during that time, we was raised not to question the adults and our elders. But that doesn't take away the fact or negate the fact that my mind may have still worked like that even as a child. But as an adult, I'm more capable of articulating that. Correct. So, and I shared it with Mark. I said, man, normally the way my mind is set up, when someone tell me to do something, I normally say why. Like, what's the purpose of it? Or what are we getting out of this? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I need to know. It's some questions. And I said clarifying questions, as a matter of fact,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
And my takeaway, though, from it, and this has been my takeaway from this whole experience, one of the greatest takeaways, man, is trusting the process, Henry, right? Just trusting the process, right? Having faith in it. You know what I mean? Because in all walks of life, daily, we don't know what the end result is going to be. And we talked about spiritual, and you said it ain't going to be too many words that come out your mouth that you're not going to acknowledge God. You know what I mean? With that being said, just having faith and trusting the Lord. You know what I mean?
It's not easy, bro.
It's not easy at all. Yeah. It's not easy at all. But we know the significance of it, the important, and I'm sure all of us have a testimony of sorts when we did trust Him wholeheartedly. I shared with you before we started recording. We've been talking, y'all, for hours, right? Prior to setting up the 3-4 mics, turning Henry to face the wall, and then pressing record.
and then spin me around, you know? Make me dizzy, you know?
Yeah. We've been doing it. But we were having a conversation, and I was telling him how it's been 27 years now that our youngest daughter was born 4 months premature. Right, Henry? And I told you she weighed 1 pound and 6 ounces.
Yes.
And I told you also that my faith at that time, trusting the process, my faith at that time was so great, Henry. Right? And my family and I, we weren't in church. I wasn't raised up in the church. You know what I mean? But I say that I wasn't raised, but I believe the word and the spirit was raised up inside of me, though. Yes. You know what I mean, Henry? Yes. And I know he knew me, obviously, way more and way longer than I knew him. You understand? But my faith at that moment was so great, to the point where I told the doctor, I remember going to the hospital. My wife started hemorrhaging at 23 weeks. And I shared with you, we had to stay at the hospital for a week. And she was practically laying on her head, right? They had tilted the bed so far that her feet were up in the sky and her head was practically on the floor just to use gravity to help. You know what I mean?
Baby, yeah.
You have to keep the baby longer. And on the 24th week, she couldn't hold no more. Now, look, I'm going to tell you what's wild, because I didn't tell you this while we were talking downstairs before we started recording. I was working that's when I was working in banking, right? And I ain't had no PTO. I ain't had nothing, Harry. You hear me?
I remember them times.
Yeah, I had none of that. And even when I got paid, it wasn't that much money, right?
Correct.
But and this was in '98, man. And I remember we went to the hospital on a Saturday, and I called my job, and I said, man, look, they was going to keep my wife, and I didn't know how long they were keeping her. And I told them, I said, look, I'm going to be here by her bedside for however long she's kept. She has to stay here. Our oldest daughter, man, was tended to by family. So she was good. She didn't miss school or anything. Well, this was right at the beginning of the school year. But I'm saying that I remember telling the doctor, because the doctor was like, I can't guarantee y'all anything. That's what he said. And I said, by the grace of God, we do have insurance. You're going to get paid, right? But our faith is in He that's greater than all of us, right?
That's right.
You know what I mean, Henry? Right. And trusting the process we speaking about. And I said, so just do your job, bro.
That's all you got to do.
Just do your job. That's all you got to do, right? I'm talking about to the point where my mother, God bless my mother, and my mother-in-law, after my daughter was born, 1 pound and 6 ounces, Henry, and she was small enough to be held in my hand. And she was in the NICU. And after they had hooked her up with all the tubes and everything, right? I remember my mother and my mother-in-law coming back from seeing her, and they were both crying, right, Henry? And I was walking past them on my way to see my daughter. And I looked at both of them, and I was like, "What y'all crying for?" And they both looked at me and was like,
why
what?
you not crying? Like, why you not crying?
Like, what? Right? And I'm like, nah, she's good. She's just like she's supposed to be, like God created her to be. And those words, man, I guess gave them the comfort that they needed at that time. Like, now, in hindsight, because I always try to make it a little funny. I ain't never seen a newborn, Henry, so I don't know what a newborn look like. So she looked perfect to me, Henry. You know what I mean?
So that's one thing we got in common, because I ain't never seen a newborn.
Yeah, we got more.
And I got 4 children. I still don't know what newborns look like. If y'all caught that, right?
So, Henry, I was like, trusting the process, having faith in the unseen, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we're talking about a lot of things, and you started it off by saying, man, this was spiritual. And you felt the presence of God the whole time. And we had some wonderful brothers and sisters, not just part of the show or not just directing the show, but the coaches that we had in the show.
Yes.
The work that we did, everything, man, the practices that we did, man, understanding that our bodies are instruments.
Yes.
You know, and the work we had to do to warm our bodies up or to warm our instruments up that Dr. Paula taught us about. You know, it was incredible, man. I'll say this, and I hope everybody get a chance and the opportunity to participate, or if you don't get a chance to participate in the Shortcuts storytelling show, go to the YouTube page.
We support it, yeah.
Go to the YouTube page. You can watch the shows. You can watch the show that we're referring to, that we were a part of, A Love Letter to the Million Man March 30 years later. You can watch all the other shows. Like I said, it's been in existence for 10 years. Excuse me. The brainchild of Dr. Lamar Darnell Shields. Wonderful team of his to make sure that whatever it is that the vision is, come to fruition, and they're doing an excellent job at doing that. I believe, Henry, and you know this, the first show was actually one about Dr. King's barber.
Yes.
It was his barber. Back in 2015, they did a show centered around Dr. King barber. It was like a barbershop conversation, and a lot of the brothers from like Reflection Eternal Barbershop played a role in that too. So that was a wonderful thing, my brothers. But I'm saying all that to say, if you ever get a chance to participate in the Shortcut show, which is storytelling at its finest, participate. Whether you're part of the show, part of the stage decor, setting it up, or if you just want to go and be entertained, go and cry, go and have a wonderful experience of hearing some wonderful stories, being moved by storytelling. Henry, your story, man, and you had your story together early too. I remember when we were still in the library, if I'm not mistaken. Nope.
We was outside the
we
library.
were outside the library, and because you pumped me up and inspired me. I was like, man, you bought it, Henry. You were sharing. Then your story, your dad and your mom played a significant part in your story.
Yes.
Right? And I think when you talked about your dad and your mom and your story, it connected with so many people who were in attendance that night. It had already moved us to tears from the beginning, you know, because I think it's a relatable story. You talked about your dad, and your dad was like your compass.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Your dad was like your compass.
Well, he was the only constant in my life.
Yeah.
He was constant. Even my eyesight wasn't constant.
Yeah.
They noticed around by the age of when I was 3 that I was losing my sight, but even that was so gradual that it was, you know, one day I could see the wall, one day I couldn't.
Yeah.
One day I could see the wall, one day I couldn't. One day I could see the lights from the TV. One day I could. It will come and go. It will come and go. My birth mom, unfortunately, she was addicted to drugs, and she would come and go. She would come and go. But my dad was there every day. I had more trust and belief in my father on earth than I did in God. I didn't know God. I didn't know nothing about no God. Now I heard about God in church. Yeah. But I didn't see God in my home. I didn't see God in my community. Okay. Based on my perspective. Yes, sir. At that age. Yes, sir. And especially, we having conversations at a young age. Why, if there is a God, why is my mother strung out? Yeah. Why is my mother not here? Man, it's to the point, Cornell, where the first female that ever said "I love you" was the same female that abandoned me. Yeah. So you think about that relationship when it comes to how I interacted with females growing up. There was always a trust issue. Yeah. There was always a sense of insecurity there. Like, you're gonna be gone. You're gonna be fleeting. But my father was always there until the day I got the phone call that he passed away. Yeah.
And we talked about this briefly, Henry. And I think, and this was during one of our rehearsals. This was at the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. Sitting in the office. We were talking about fathers, and I shared with you, because when you reference your mother and you jokingly said the thing that we have in common is that neither one of us knew what a newborn looked like or ever seen a newborn, right? If they got it, right? Yeah. But something else we have in common is having a parent who suffered from substance abuse issues. Yes. Right? I shared with you and the family, our new family that we created, that we founded about 2 months ago now, that my father suffered from substance abuse issues, right? And like most people, and I shared this was part of my story, because really in hindsight, Henry, our stories was just testimonies for real. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I shared in my story that my father suffered from substance abuse issues, and like most people in Baltimore City, the drug of choice back from the 70s and 80s was heroin, right? And I used to think my father chose drugs over me and my mother, right? And you said your father was your superhero. Now I am my father, right? I am my father. And what I mean by that, my father was my superhero. I would say he died that way for me as well, but there were some times where I couldn't understand the substance abuse issues, and it created some resentment for me. But from like my early stages up until about 10, 11 years old, when I first realized what my father was dealing with, I tried to be nothing else other than like my dad, right? Yeah, I studied them. I studied them, Henry. I'm talking about, because my father had the ability, like we're doing, where he could engage people, right? And he was a storyteller, right? And now my grandmother, my maternal grandmother would always say, he ain't doing nothing but lying. But they were always great stories, and they were always funny, always. And I shared this with the group, that I use humor in my engagement with people for a couple of reasons. I heard, and I believe it to be true, and I've seen it, and I've experienced it as well. If you can make people laugh, you can make people listen. Yes. Right? Yes. That, and I also use it as one, to engage people, to make them comfortable enough to drop their guards and become defenseless. Defenseless in the sense that I have something to give you. I'm trying to pour something into you, and I can't pour it into you and have you receive it if you're guarded towards me. You know what I mean, Henry? Correct. So I could use a little humor to make you a little more comfortable, a little more relaxed, see me in a different light, in a different perspective, and almost build the type of credibility and trust that'll make you say, you know what? maybe I can become a little more relaxed around him. And once that happens, then I can pour in. Well, I'm going to take that back. In the midst of me attempting to make you comfortable, I'm still pouring, right? But with that being said, I'm going to tell you something my father said. Because you said a word when you referenced your mom and you said abandonment, right? One of the things that I was blessed about with my dad is he and my mother were together for 50 years, right? And my father, I guess, would be considered a functioning addict when I was a child growing up until I transitioned out of the home at 22 years old and had my own family. But he would work Monday through Friday. Friday he'll get off. He'll dibble and dabble on Friday. Saturday he dibble dabble again. Sunday he going through sicknesses and he trying to get himself together so he could go back to work on Monday, right? So I guess you functioning in the sense of functioning with a habit, right? An intense habit. But with that being said, I started to have some resentment, right? But I was never disrespectful. And this, one of the things that I held to high esteem and I greatly appreciated, Henry, was that he never left. You know what I mean? And to me, that was the greatest thing, right? Even when I became a father, I didn't know, even when I became a husband, I didn't know all the things to do, all of the right things to do. You know what I mean? But the one thing I knew is that I would be here. You know what I mean, Henry? The one thing I knew for certain, Henry, is I'm going to be here, right? Now, I'm going to have to learn what to do while I'm here. You know what I mean, Henry? But we going to go through this together. I'm going to learn this, right? But look, and by the grace of God, I've learned and I'm still learning. We are. Correct, Henry?
Yes.
But look, I'm going to tell you something my father said that made me see things in a completely different perspective. My father, when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I believe I shared this with you in one of our sessions, Henry. My father, unsolicited, came to me. And he said, my family called me man. He said, man, I know we ain't never had a father-son relationship that you wanted. He said, but I did the best I could. Unsolicited, Henry. He said, I did. Now, I'm going to tell you, at the time, I ain't never been verbally disrespectful to my, you know what I mean? I ain't crazy, right, Henry?
Yeah.
But my body language probably like, man. My body language probably, right? Yeah. I was a little dismissive. Like, man, look, right? And for years, I used to think if my father just apologized to me, and maybe that was his way, but I used to think if my father just said, man, I apologize, that was the start of my healing, or that was the word that I needed to heal, right? But he said that to me in my late 20s, early 30s, right? It didn't register to me, Henry. My father passed away in 2017 from throat cancer complications. My mom passed away 6 years later from lung cancer complications, right? My father passed away in 2017. When he was sick, I used to go to the hospital to see him, right? He'll leave home. Man, I might get a phone call anytime. I didn't even like answering the phone at certain times during the evenings at that time, Henry, because both of my parents were sick and battling cancer, right? Correct. It was times where I was leaving one hospital, going to another hospital, right, Henry? But when I was sitting in the hospital with my dad, it was just the two of us, the conversations that we would have would be so real. Yeah. I mean, unlike conversations we would have at home, right? And things started, I started seeing things a little different, right? After he passed, I happened to be in my classroom. Two young ladies were engaged in the conversation at the end of the year because, school ends around the time that Father's Day is coming up. Yes. And they were talking about their dad. And they had some feelings towards their dads, right? And I told them sisters, I said, I know y'all not talking to me, but y'all within earshot. And I said, if I could interject, and I shared what my father shared with me. And I said, you know what I realize now? If a person tell you, I did the best that I could, or I'm doing the best that I can, in all honesty, Henry, the only response to that is, thank you. Right? And I'm going to tell you, and I had this conversation.
I'm glad you shared
Look,
that.
and I'm going to tell you, The only response, right? Because when you said something about your mom and you said a band, what I didn't realize, or what I couldn't see from 10 until the age of 10 until I couldn't see what my father was dealing with or what he was masking.
I'm glad
you understand what I'm saying, Henry?
I'm glad you're bringing that up. Yeah.
I ain't even try to understand what it was. I just was, I'm looking what I needed. You know what I mean? As opposed to what you're capable of providing.
Correct.
Those two may be complete opposite. What I need and what you're capable of providing. So what I'm providing you is the best I got.
Yes.
You know what I mean, Henry?
Yes.
And then I have the audacity to say, man, get out of here with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, you know what? In hindsight,
well, you gotta think that that's your perspective because that's the age that you were
as a
right?
child. Yeah, as a child.
And just going to the Million Man March rehearsals that we was talking about.
Yes, sir.
There was stuff that came up for me at the age of 46 that I wasn't even aware that I was holding on to
sir.
from the age of 3 or 4 years old. So we're talking about 40 years that you hold on to something. So my mom OD'd when I was 11. Okay, that was in 1990. My father passed away in 96, and you're talking about issues that I held on to that weren't addressed.
Yes, sir.
So I recently, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, apologized to my oldest two children because I, in turn, also allowed alcohol to destroy my first marriage and my relationship. Even though I was home every day, I went to work, was going to school, you know, I would go hang out the clubs and, you know, bar lounges and you know, drink my weekend away. And similar to your father, you know, on the weekend, I'll drink the weekend away. And the next thing you know, I'm back at work Monday morning.
You had to throw my father in there, though, Henry.
But you said it. You said it.
It still hurt.
Because when you said it, that's what I thought about.
I'm playing.
I said, I did the same thing,
I'm
bro.
just playing.
You know?
My bad.
But here's the thing.
Yes, sir.
I was speaking to a young man the other day. He was saying that, you know, he did 10 years in jail. And when he came home, you know, the kids were 10 years older. And in reality, even though I was there physically,
yes, sir.
even though I was paying the bills financially,
yes, sir.
I still wasn't there emotionally
yes,
for
sir.
my children because the alcohol had
yes, sir.
So when it came to my mom, I never had no ill wills towards my mom for being addicted.
Yes,
that
sir.
was the norm for me.
Yes,
it was
sir.
It was normal.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
But you don't understand the depths of the trauma that you are holding on to and what that creates later for you when it comes to your interactions, when it comes to relationships. Because that's the model that you know. My father was there every day. So in my mind, because I was there every day, I was okay.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was a good dad. In my mind, I was a good husband because the bills are being paid and I'm here every day. However, I was still emotionally absent, and that trauma. My oldest daughter is 25. My oldest son is 26. That still affected them, even though they doing well now. But
yes, sir.
There's still issues that, and we're going back to like generational curses and things of that nature.
Yes, sir.
It's the lack of knowledge. It's the lack of education. It's the misunderstanding and the things that we hold on to without sharing. That's why it's important that we do the shows like The Shortcut. This is important why you and I are sitting here doing this now, because
yes,
if we don't share what we are going through, if we don't tell the people and be vulnerable with each other as men, especially as men, we are dying at a young, alarming rate, and we're not teaching our children how to interact with each other because we hold on to baggage that we need to let go. Our health is impacted because we are not letting go of stuff. So when my mom was doing her drugs, she was hurting. She was suffering.
Right. That's right.
You know,
that's right.
When I was out there drinking, I didn't realize that I was hurting from the death of my father. I didn't realize I was hurting from the lack of my mother being there. So in my mind, I'm doing everything right.
Yes, sir.
But my children say you're not.
Yes, sir.
So we're not listening to. So as a man, I had to go to my children and say, you know what? I apologize for not being there, but and guess what? I'm not dead. So I was afforded through the grace of God the opportunity to do that.
Yes,
I always wondered what my conversation would be if my mother was still alive and if my father was still alive. I wasn't afforded that opportunity. I felt robbed. I felt cheated. You understand? So my anger wasn't towards them. My anger for 20-some odd years was towards God. I was angry at God because you took my parents away in my mind.
Yes, sir.
You understand? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling.
And like you said, that's from a child's perspective too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You said that.
Yeah.
That's Henry. You know something though. Thank you for everything that you're saying. You know something that I observed, Henry. You reference and you say this that you begin to lose your sight at around 3.
Yes.
Right. And one of the things I in the short time that I've been with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. I never heard you use the word disability.
No.
Right? I never heard anybody even when talking about you use the word disability. You know what I mean, Henry? Like that's not, you don't see it as, and I get that. I immediately got that from you. I never even heard you reference that. You don't. It's not a disability to you.
No, it's not a disability. It's the ability for me to see the world differently.
Yes, sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
It's listen. We all have a testimony. We all got a gift.
Yes, sir.
And I ain't even gonna hold you.
Please.
With my mindset, growing up in West Baltimore, if I was able to see, I wouldn't be sitting right here in front of you, brother. I'm telling you.
I'm glad.
So God
God
got a sense of humor. God gonna say, you know what, bro? I'm gonna take your physical sight so I can give you spiritual vision.
How about that, my man?
I had to go physically blind in order for me to get spiritual vision.
Yes, sir.
Because I wouldn't have.
You
this
nice
insight.
with words too, Henry. You nice with words.
Oh
too.
man, you know, we gotta get in the booth for real. You know, I'm joking. Don't call me out. I'm retired.
No, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, but seriously, but you know, we joke all the time.
No, go ahead.
And sense of humor is so real, right?
It is. No, but I want you to talk about your spiritual vision.
My spiritual
Please,
vision.
I interrupted you.
It's even as a child, man. I remember feeling people's pain.
Yes, sir.
And I felt my mother's pain. I didn't see the addiction, but I felt her pain.
Yes, sir.
I felt her love for us. My father, he used humor a lot too, and his sister, my aunt, will always say that he would use humor to mask the hurt of their childhood from the 40s.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes as black men or just people men in general, oftentimes we either try to laugh our way through or work our way through or sex our way through. You know?
Yes, sir.
And oftentimes we not taught how to process what we're going through, put a name to what we're going through, let alone speak about what we're going through, because we don't want to appear weak.
No, you're right.
You know, and being blind, man, I had to be vulnerable almost every day. I had to learn how to trust people. When we talking about trust the process, when I walk up and down the street, or I get on the bus, or even down to putting clothes on, I had to trust that someone was being honest with me about if I matched or not. I couldn't look in the mirror and say, hey, I got this on or that, whatever the case may be. When I go to the barber, I had to make sure, I had to trust my barber to not have me jacked up and all that type of stuff. But thankfully, man, I was blessed with a family. Man, my sisters and my brothers and them, people ain't want no smoke. They ain't want no smoke. You mess with their brother Henry. Nah.
How long did it take? How long, even with the family that you were raised in and blessed to have, Henry, how long did it take for you to realize the need to trust, and when did you realize that you were trusting?
Well, to be honest with you, they never treated me as blind. They never treated me as handicapped or disabled.
Yes, sir.
It got to the point where even my siblings, my family members, they forgot or forget, and still do.
Yeah, you said
that I can't see.
Yeah, you said that.
Honestly, it's you know, they really believe I'm frauding the government. They like, man, you frauding the government. You know, you just want a first parking spot. You know, you just want to get on the plane first.
Think you bluffing. They think you bluffing. Yeah.
You just want to sit in the front of the bus.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. I wanna earn that first seat on the bus. Rosa Parks ain't want to. She ain't go through that for no reason.
Nah, and we just ran into each other downtown. We just ran into each other
at the stadium, right?
At the stadium a week or so ago. Yeah. We was down there. The season, the Baltimore Ravens did a wonderful held a wonderful event.
And did you know that they won twice since we touched that field?
Yeah, since we touched that field, right? Yeah, so we go put that. Yeah, we gonna take that. And look, it was Kim. My wife was the first one that saw you, right? Like I'm telling you, check this out, Henry.
Wow.
Look, she had never met you in person.
Correct.
She met you through me though, right? I would come home. We rehearsed every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Yes, man.
For 6 weeks.
Grueling.
For 2 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah, it was grueling.
And I would come home. My body ached oftentimes after rehearsals, right? Because they said that they was going to stretch and push you and pull you and make you uncomfortable to make you comfortable. And everything Mark said that they were going to do, they did, right? I told him, I said, man, I felt like I had been working out for real, mentally, emotionally, and all that, physically. But I shared it, so she knew you through me, but she had never met you. But she was the first one to spot you. And she was like, Henry. And then I looked, we were eating. And then I saw you walking with your sister. And I jumped up and I said, Henry. And you was like, Nutty King. and we laughed as we do, and we shook hands. And then you immediately said, Henry, you was like, man, we got to get a picture on the field before we leave. I said, who gonna be the quarterback and who gonna be the wide receiver? You said you was gonna be the receiver and I was gonna be the quarterback.
I was gonna run that ball, man.
Yeah, he's gonna run the ball. And we took, and I'm gonna share that picture. I shared it, but I'm gonna share it again. Okay. I'm gonna make it the cover of this video.
Matter of fact, I said I'm gonna be the running back.
You're gonna be the running back.
That way I don't have to worry about dropping the ball.
Yeah. And we laughed.
I ain't want the sun get in my eyes. And see, that's why he ain't catch the ball.
And we shared the laugh as we always do, man. Yeah. Henry, I'm telling you, man. I told you this. Just listening to you and engaging you, man. You're an inspiration to many. Right, and it doesn't have it. It is your spiritual gift. It's what you do. Right, you shared about your nephews, right, and raising your nephews and being the model example of what a man should be. Right, I commend you for that. You said that came from the Million Man March, and the charge that was extended is we as black men need to return to our community and right our wrongs. Yes. And you reference how Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about how the number of black kids who were in the
25,000 in the foster care
were in the foster care system, and you said, man, my nephews won't be, you know what I mean, part of that, man. I commend you for that, man. Just who you are. And I told you before we started recording. I said, man. Spiritual gifts and just work ethic and just talking to you and engaging you and just watching and observing you make me want to work harder, make me realize there's a lot more that I should be doing. You know what I mean, Henry, man? And that's inspirational. And that's who you are. That's who I felt you to be from the first time that I made your acquaintance back in September. We didn't know who were gathering in that group, right? We all come from different walks of life. We all have different backgrounds, but we still have a lot in common. And I'm grateful for meeting you. And I said that we were going to build a relationship, and we started building that relationship. And by the grace of God, we're going to continue to build it. We became family. Absolutely. Back then. And God ordered these steps. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe God ordered our steps, all of our steps, to be present where we were at that moment in time, to do what we did. And we talked about our prayer being that someone will be inspired by our stories.
It's not about us. Right?
No, it's
not about us.
Yeah.
And even though it's our story,
yes, sir,
it's not about us.
Yeah.
Our job as humans, right,
yes, sir,
is to reflect the glory of God in the way that we can,
yes,
to the best of our ability.
To the best of our
because you never know who you're going to impact when you interact with that person.
Yes, sir.
I'm blessed, brother, where I could run into someone I may not have been around 15, 20, 25 odd years, and my wife still find it so amazing that everyone I run into just light up when I meet them. And honestly, I did some dirt stuff as a teen, as a kid and as a teenager.
You on camera, Henry? Let's not talk about
right. No, I'm not going into details. I ain't that crazy.
Statute of limitations might not be out there.
Yeah. I ain't, like, oh, we got him.
Allegedly. Let's say allegedly.
I was a wild boy.
Allegedly, Henry. Allegedly.
Yeah, whatever. But here's the thing, though.
Yes, sir.
Here's the thing. Being non-sighted, I couldn't be too grounded because somebody could walk up on me and I ain't gonna see him coming. That was a setup. See, it was a setup. That was a setup. I couldn't get you.
You gonna have to keep a body going with you all the time. Yeah.
Get walked up.
Yeah.
But true story though. I was about 19 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I was walking down.
You play too much. we try to serve you. We just talk about the Lord, spiritual gifts. We talk. You throw that in.
Bust upside the head.
You play too much, Eric. You 19 years old.
I was walking down. I was on North Avenue, approaching Penn North, and
by yourself?
Yeah, by myself.
Okay.
I always rode the street by myself, bro.
Okay.
2, 3 o'clock in the morning, it didn't matter to me.
Oh man.
Seriously. 16 years old, man, walking the street. I just always felt the presence of God with me. Even though I didn't have a relationship with God at that age, God never left me nor forsake me. I want to share that on Front Street. However, this one particular day, I'm walking, and I'm typically upbeat, and this lady pulled over, and I don't know who she is. I don't know her name, nothing to this day. But she said that she was contemplating committing suicide. But she saw this kid that could not see walking down the street, just smiling and just walking. And that gave her the encouragement to keep living. So when I share my stories, when I interact with people, you never know what someone is going through. So giving someone a smile, giving someone a hug, saying hello to someone, you never know the trajectory of what you can do to someone's life. And I carry that with me every day.
Yes, sir.
Every day.
You do a great job carrying it.
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey Henry, can you finish? Do you remember we gonna wrap up? We had 63 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Henry, can you tell me you want to finish it with your haiku, or you want to finish it with the last words we had to say and our at the end of the play. I said the play of this show. You remember? You just looked at me.
I know my haiku.
You know your haiku, and
that was the ending. My haiku was the
all right, you want to give them your haiku, but no, with something else. Remember, all of us had to come back on stage and say something.
Oh, long live.
I'm trying to do the
I'm asking.
Henry. I'm trying to produce something over here, Henry.
I ain't see the curveball.
I'm giving you the question. I'm setting it up, Henry.
So how about this?
Hey, Henry.
How about this?
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
You
produce it.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead. Just do it. Do it, Henry.
But you gave me an option.
No, I did not.
You said or.
No. Did I say or?
Yes, you did.
Oh, you went to the city. Okay, I went to the Academy of Finance at Lake Clifton. All right.
I will do my haiku.
All right, let's go.
And then I'm gonna do the cane tap, right? And then we're gonna rock it out.
Both of us gonna do it at the same time?
Absolutely. Why not?
Okay. That's good.
Authentic Henry, returning back to himself because God is good
Long live the spirit of the Million Man March.
Love you, brother.